Inside your Heat in the Environment data logger kit, you have 6 pieces of equipment. You have your actual data logger. You have inside one of the 2 kits, you have an infrared sensor. You have 2 temperature probes, USB connection cord, and your power adapter. The data loggers can measure 6 different things. If I look on my screen here, you can see that it measures sound, light, temperature, pressure, and humidity. Now the sensors that I'm measuring right now are all internal to the data logger itself. And if we scroll up to the top, and we scroll by hitting the yellow button here, it scrolls all the way around, but you can see it actually starts at number 3. That's because number 1 and number 2 sensors are the external sensors. And if I spin around here, you can see this is where I plug in my external sensors. So I have an external temperature gauge, which I'm going to just plug in here into slot 1. And as soon as I do that, it automatically recognizes that I have the external sensor plugged in, and it shows that number 1 is now measuring temperature. There are 3 different ways that you can use your data loggers. The first is to record the information directly onto your computer by linking your data logger to a computer with the USB cable. To do this, you'll need also to upload the EasySense software from the CD that is included in your TDSB Heat in the Environment kit. Alternatively, you can download the software from the EasySense website. The second option is to record the data on your data logger and then retrieve it to your computer at a later date. And you can do this using the snapshot or the EasyLog function. Thirdly, you can also just look at the data directly on your data logger. And this is what we are going to look at now. The first mode that we're going to look at is meter. And what meter does is it collects information being given by the sensors in real time. And what you need to note is that the meter function does not record the information for later retrieval. It just shows you the temperature or the humidity at that exact moment. So we can select meter by making sure our arrow is right next to meter, and if it's not, we can scroll around using our yellow button. We select meter when the arrow is next to meter by pressing the green arrow, and then right away we can see all of the information that the sensors are picking up in real time. So we see number 1 is our external temperature sensor, number 3 our sound, number 4 our light, 5 is our internal temperature sensor, and we can also scroll down to see our pressure as well as our humidity. And we can exit out to the main screen by just pressing the red square. Snapshot is a really useful function because it allows you to take a snapshot of all of the sensors readings at any time that you like. So to go to this function, we just scroll down with our yellow button till it's on the snapshot, and then we hit the green button. And you can take a snapshot of all of the sensor readings every time you hit the green button. So you can have your students take a reading every 30 seconds by looking at a clock, and every time it gets to 30 seconds, hitting the green button. And you'll notice that on the top line, it tells you the number of snapshots you've taken. So every time I take a snapshot, there's 1, moves up to number 2, moves up to 3, to 4, to 5, etc. And what this is doing is it's recording this information on here so you can retrieve it from your computer at a later date. And just to exit from here, just press the red button and you return to the main screen. The final mode I'd like us to look at is the EasyLog function. What EasyLog does is it continuously takes recordings from all of the sensors. And to select that, we go down to Easy Log, scrolling with our yellow button, then we're going to select with our green button, and it started to record right away. And it records at the beginning in very frequent intervals, but the longer you leave it on, the larger those intervals become. And we can scroll down and we can look at how it's doing. But what's important, to make sure we can retrieve this from our data logger at a later date, we need to make sure we exit this properly. So we may have to make sure we hit the red button, and it's going to give us an option. I'm going to press the green for yes. And that has now recorded the information in my data logger that I can retrieve that from my computer at a later date. If you've recorded your data using the Easy Log or the snapshot function, you can retrieve your data to your PC. All you need to do is have the EasySense software uploaded to your PC, and you need to connect your data logger to your PC using the USB cable supplied in the kit. Retrieving your data from your data logger is extremely easy. What you see in front of you here is the home page for the EasySense software. If you have connected your data logger to your PC correctly, you will see this option here called Remote, and this is how we will retrieve the information to our computer. So I'm going to click on Remote, and it gives me two options: Set up Remote and Retrieve Remote. I'm going to click on Retrieve Remote to get our information. The computer then lists for you all of the information that is stored in your data logger. I know that this one here is the one that I would like to retrieve, so I'm going to highlight it and then click Retrieve. It then gives me a list of all of the different sensors that it has information for. I know that the experiment I run is a comparison between a thermal mug and a regular mug and how easily a cup of tea cools in each of those vessels. So I'm only interested in my temperature measurements. I'd also like to note for you that the top two sensors on this list are the external sensors, and the bottom 5 are the internal sensors to the data logger. So once I've got everything that I'm interested in selected, I'm going to click OK, and the computer will import that information for me into my computer. I can then look at the exact measurements by clicking various places on the graph, and it will then display for me the temperatures at that particular moment. If you would like to export your information to Excel, you can do that by just hitting File and then Transfer to Excel. And that will import all of your data into an Excel spreadsheet for you. The final way that we can use our data logger is to synchronize it with our PC. This allows us to control our data logger from our PC. It also allows us to instantaneously upload our data and track that data on our PC. To illustrate this, we're going to conduct the experiment I have set up here to monitor the cooling times of water in two different vessels. The cooling time in a thermal travel mug versus the cooling time of water in a regular mug. When using a PC to control our data logger, you will recognize 3 familiar modes. You'll recognize Easy Log, Snapshot, and Meters from when we used our data logger independently. But right now, I'd like to draw your attention to the graphing function. Before we click that, we're going to make sure that in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 bars on our Level tab, because that means that we can use the software to its maximum capacity. So I'm going to click Graph, and the first thing it's going to show me are my options for which sensors we're going to use to collect information. For this experiment, I only want to collect temperature data, so I'm going to deselect the non-temperature sensors. And once again, you'll notice that the top 2 sensors, sensors 1 and 2, are our external probes. I'm going to hit the next button. And it's going to give me options of how long I should be recording for and the intervals at which information should be taken. So I'm going to select 10 minutes for the total length of time and 10 seconds for the length of the intervals. Then I'm going to hit Next. And it's going to give me an option of when should it start recording. None, will mean that I have to hit the start button to start, or trigger level means that it will start when the temperature gets above or below a certain temperature. So once I'm actually going to click none, and then hit finish, and now I'm ready to collect my data. As soon as I hit the start button, the sensors will start recording the information picked up by the sensors. And you'll notice that the graph starts to graph it at the interval that we selected. But you will notice up here that this data is shown on the screen in real time. Once your data logger has finished recording the information, you can go in once again and look at the values, the intervals, as well as the differences. You can also transfer your data to Excel if you wish. And there you have it. You now know how to use the data logger that's included in the TDSB's Heat in the Environment kit.